won't see Bradley Chubb for the rest of the season. The Broncos pass rusher out with a torn ACL that he continued to play with against the Jaguars. According to Vic Fangio, he was as surprised as anyone when he woke up this morning feeling the way he did. Another injury from yesterday, Tyron Smith, who left the stadium in a boot. According to Ian Rappaport, he got some good news today. It's not as bad as originally thought, an ankle sprain that will cost the Cowboys left tackle this week's game. According to Rappaport, possibly not any more time than that. That said, Cowboys could have used him on that final drive last night. Down 2 to the Saints and unable to put any points on the board. A major win for New Orleans at home without Breeze and without a single touchdown. Did it with 4 field goals from Will Lutz. Something tells me Willie McGinnis might have enjoyed this game more than, say, David Carr or LaDainian Tomlinson. Both defenses looked great. How did the Saints D pull it off?
They won in the trenches, and it's all about winning in the trenches. When you play in the Dallas Cowboys, you cannot let Zeke get going. And I thought they did a great job of controlling the front, not letting him get going. 8 carries for 35 yards. That's unheard of for Zeke. But they have a history of not giving up 100-yard rushers, and they did it today. And I think when you're able to do this and you can negate the running game and force Dak to do certain things, you got great coverage on the back end. I'm not going to dispel what they did on the back end. They had great coverage. But if you can't stop the run, it opens up so many more plays for the Dallas Cowboys, and kudos to that front 7 for the Saints.
Last time the Saints won without scoring a touchdown was 1998. That said, they dominated time of possession. Is that going to be their formula moving forward, David?
I think it has to be. That's just based on what we saw from Teddy. And it wasn't bad football. It just wasn't Drew Brees. Drew Brees is a completely different animal. And you can see that with the mounting frustrations a little bit with Alvin Kamara and the subtleties. Like, you don't ever really see Alvin kind of put his hands out like, hey, man, you got to get us lined up right. And he was getting a little bit frustrated. And you saw a little bit on the sideline with Sean Payton as well. There was a play late in the game where Teddy made a call, ended up sliding the offensive line, and the tackle really didn't have a chance to make the call and get off the line of scrimmage. Ended up being a sack. You saw Drew Brees on the sideline when Teddy took the sack late in the game, had his hands on his head like, oh, you can't do that right there. So there's a little bit of frustration, but the defense is so good. Marshawn Lattimore played fantastic. Yeah. Really shut down Amari Cooper, stepped it up big time. That front 7 played great. So you can win games like this. Like you mentioned in our meeting, I mean, they're stealing football games right now. If you're winning with your backup quarterback, you're stealing that division. It looks pretty good.
LT, you said last week that the Cowboys were the best team in the NFC. Would you like to amend that comment based on these results?
I would not. I still think they very are. They still are the best team in the NFC. And look, they just ran into a team that was highly motivated. The Saints are a very good team, and they're going to be there in the end. They're going to make a deep playoff run. We know that. But I believe that the Cowboys right now, speaking defensively, to me, they're one of the best defenses in the National Football League, let alone the NFC. I just think right now they're able to keep the scoring down. They're averaging giving up about 14 points a game, which is good for 3rd in the league.
It gives you a chance.
It gives you a chance.
Yeah.
But the addition of Robert Quinn was critical to me in the offseason because they needed somebody opposite of DeMarcus Lawrence. When you have those 2 defensive ends, those 2 linebackers in the middle, what they're doing on defense will be sustainable all year. Now, the offense, guys, we know that's going to go up and down, but for the most part, that defense will be able to hold people, around 14 points. That'll be good.
You can win a lot of games holding people to 14 points.
Maybe we'll see this matchup again at the end of the year in, say, the postseason. You mentioned the Saints stealing games. Week 10 is the target for Breeze. They're 3-1 right now. The 4 games before Week 10, when he's supposed to get back, they've got Tampa Bay, they have Jacksonville, they have Chicago, and they have Arizona. And then they have a bye.
You won a couple of those.
They could be right there.
They could be right there.
Scott?
I saw a headline in a Minnesota newspaper asking the question, can the Vikings offense be effective when it has to rely on Kirk Cousins? Yesterday, Cousins and the Vikings shut down by the Bears. They only scored 6 total points, and Cousins did not account for a touchdown. Let's talk to Hall of Famer Kurt Warner about this. Kurt is live in Pittsburgh, site of Monday Night Football tonight. Quarterbacks flock together indeed. Kurt getting a little pregame chat there with Andy Dalton, who's having a nice season throwing the ball in terms of yardage. Well over 300 yards per game is Andy Dalton. Now the Hall of Famer joins us. Kurt, let me ask you the question that newspaper in Minnesota asked. Can the Vikings be effective when they have to rely on Cousins?
Well, I tell you what, Scott, two parts to this question. First of all, I don't think you want Kirk Cousins throwing 35 or 40 times a game. That's not where he's been his best throughout his career. The second part to that, though, is when he came over from Washington, I really felt he was a guy that was a difference maker with his right arm, could make some really special throws, different than a lot of guys in the league. I don't see that same guy right now. I see a guy that's playing a little bit tentative, that seems to be playing and worrying about the big number that they paid him on his contract, as opposed to just going back and ripping the football like he did before he hit free agency. So if they're going to depend more on Kirk Cousins, he's got to get back to being more of the guy he was in Washington. No care in the world, see it, rip it, let it go, and use that right arm to make some of those special throws.
Of course, Vikings fans are also factoring in the price tag that Cousins came to the team with and the expectations they have just with that 3-year deal. Meanwhile, Kurt, the Carolina Panthers, last 12 games for Carolina, they have 3 wins. All were Kyle Allen starts, including yesterday, a win on the road. Is Carolina a better football team with Kyle Allen quarterbacking them?
Man, that one's tough, Scott. If Cam Newton is healthy, and the special Cam Newton, I'm not so sure. But within Norv Turner's pass offense, I don't think there's any question. Cam's forte was not drop back, pick a team apart. It was big plays with his arm, big plays with his legs. What Kyle Allen's doing is he's running the offense how it's supposed to be run. Christian McCaffrey playing good football. So in the pass game part of it, I don't think there's any question. They're probably a better team in this Norv Turner offense with Kyle Allen as a quarterback instead of Cam Newton.
I'll tell you this, Kyle Allen, not a bad athlete either. He escaped a sack from J.J. Watt yesterday that was straight out of the Tony Romo magic bag, or even Randall Cunningham going back into the day. Nice road victory there for the Carolina Panthers. All right, Kurt, thank you very much. Enjoy the game. We'll check back in with you later. Back to the top story of the day now. Vontaze Burfict suspended for the rest of the season. Burfict ejected from yesterday's win over the Colts after this illegal hit on Jack Doyle. It is the latest in a series of illegal hits and personal fouls over the course of Burfict's career. Let's bring in NFL media insider Ian Rappaport for more on this one. Ian, this is one of the biggest suspensions in NFL history for something that happened on a game field. What more can you tell us?
Vontaze Burfict was in London earlier today with his team. They flew there right after the game. I'm told he actually headed home today to deal with his appeal. That is expected to be tomorrow, and his agent, Lamont Smith, told me that Burfict, of course, will participate in that. The plan is to have a ruling before Wednesday of this game week. That is the way the league generally does things. What was interesting here was it is clear that Vontaze Burfict's past incidents played a factor in this. In fact, his extensive history was something that John Runyon alluded to in the letter to Burfict. Runyon also said there were no mitigating circumstances to this hit. In other words, there's nothing that led to it. It was simply Burfict leading with his head on a defenseless player. Runyon called it flagrant, said that, of course, Burfict has been warned that there would be escalating accountability measures if he continued this type of play. Burfict did continue it, and now he is out for the season pending appeal.
Thank you, Ian. Let's get some more headlines right now. Giants on a 2-game winning streak. The rookie quarterback looks good, and now they get a wide receiver with over 600 career catches. Golden Tate back with the G-Men today. Tate served a 4-game suspension for PEDs. He signed a $37 million contract to come over via free agency to the Giants this past offseason. Speaking of New York, the Jets say Sam Darnold's return from mono is still up in the air. Darnold has been cleared to resume throwing, but has not been cleared for contact. The second-year quarterback has missed 2 games due to mono. Jets are 0-3. They were on the bye this weekend. Some notable injuries after the Week 4 games. Josh Allen is in concussion protocol. Same thing with Jarvis Landry and T.J. Hawkinson. You got a toe injury for Devontae Adams. You saw that one on Thursday Night Football. And Melvin Ingram has a hamstring. That one seems a little bit serious. Melvin Ingram not expected to play this weekend for the Chargers.
Since Week 10 of 2014. Their win over the Ravens yesterday, not only their first September road win over a divisional opponent since 2008, but their first ever with a 300-yard passer, 150-yard rusher, and 150-yard receiver in the same game. This, LT, is the team that we talked about all offseason. What was different yesterday?
Well, one, they were highly motivated from Brandon Williams coming out talking about what's going to be the plan for the Browns whenever they get hitting them out. Well, the plan was for the offensive line to accept that challenge and do what they did yesterday and open up huge, massive holes. And listen, they control the line of scrimmage. And when you look at Nick Chubb, he's best when he's able to get downhill, one cut, get downhill, and then this guy breaks so many tackles, Willie. It's really hard to bring him down with one person. He continues to churn out yards, and he has great vision. That's the one thing. Look at this run right here. He saw the cutback. A lot of running backs don't even see that cutback once they get up in the hole. So he did a terrific job, obviously, but I love what Nick Chubb said yesterday after the game. He said anybody could have ran through that hole right there. That 88-yard touchdown, the offensive line did a great job, and they just control the line of scrimmage all day. But they need to play like this day in and day out, every game.
That's their identity.
That's their identity. You know, it keeps them in second and third and manageable situations so Baker Mayfield can have success with quick passing.
39 fantasy points for Nick Chubb yesterday. Last Browns running back with that many, Peyton Hillis, 2010. Got to go way back. How about the defense, Willie? Held Baltimore in check. How'd they do it?
They did a great job, and you got to confuse Lamar Jackson. You got to keep him off balance, and I know it sounds crazy for a mobile quarterback, but you got to keep him off the spot. So when you look at the tape and you watch what they did up front, they confused him. Here's two linebackers. They're mugged up in the A gap. So when you're taking account, you're trying to figure it out. You got a flush game on the right, and you got two linebackers that looks like they're rushing that's dropping out. The guy here is Demarius Randall, so he confuses the front, the protection. Nobody accounts for him, almost misses him because he's so elusive, does a great job of recovering and making a play. And then here you go again. You got to get good push in the middle of the pocket. Get Lamar Jackson off the spot. Ogunjobi does a great job. Myles Garrett on the outside. His job, do not get out of control. Keep leverage. Keep the quarterback on your inside shoulder. He did a great job. Compare that, and when you put that with great coverage on the back end, you got quarters too high. All the receivers are taken. Everybody's accounted for. You want to force him to throw the ball to the check down, break up, make the tackle. Same look, but it's not quarters. Right here is cover 2, Tampa 2. Shorbert does a great job of matching and getting depth with the tight end. The safety recognizes what they're trying to do, gets over the top, goes up, high points the ball, makes a great play. So you got to take the ball away. You got to control the trenches. You got to contain Lamar Jackson. You got to stop the run game. I can keep going on and on and on. But they did a great job of doing all those things yesterday.
Great game for Cleveland. We'll see if they can keep it up. They've got a tough stretch ahead at Niners versus Seahawks at Patriots. Scott?
One of the best back-and-forth games yesterday, Chiefs and Lions. Kansas City with a fourth quarter come-from-behind win to stay undefeated and hand the Lions their first loss of the season. We had 5 second-half lead changes in this game, and the Chiefs punched in the game-winning touchdown with 20 seconds left to go. Final score was 34-30, which begs the question, what does it take to keep Kansas City low on the scoreboard? Patrick Mahomes did not throw a touchdown pass. Patrick Mahomes did not rush for a touchdown. And yet they still hang 34 in a road game against a previously undefeated team. Wow, let's go inside of the game center, presented by Bridgestone right now. DC here with us. And David, Mahomes not throwing the touchdowns like he had been, but still effective in this game.
Very, very effective. And I thought Detroit had actually a really good plan against them. They thought they'd get up there and challenge those wide receivers, but that left open some issues with him. So as we roll it and we look at some of these plays that they made, I mean, he's really just buying some time in the backfield and makes some fantastic plays with his feet and just continuing to go above the X's and O's. Travis Kelce, man-to-man, tight man-to-man coverage here. It's all covered up, but the ability for Patrick to continue to move, to get out of the pocket, it draws attention. The Detroit Lions can't help themselves but to look and say, do I have to go up and tackle this guy? And that leaves Travis Kelce open, and his playmaking ability is unmatched. And then, oh, by the way, we still have to cover McCoy because now he's going to lateral it to him. So, I mean, 34 points and having plays like that is just fantastic. Now they're going to go too deep, man underneath. The problem with this is there's no one on the quarterback. And if you don't stunt and you don't create some run lanes issues with the quarterback, he's just going to tuck it and run up the middle of the field because there's nobody on the quarterback. and just does a tremendous job. And then finally this last one, same type of deal. There's essentially 3 or 4 guys looking at Travis Kelce here. You jam him, you push him. Okay, Patrick just ran for a big first down. One of us has to go get him. So I'm going to leave. I'm going to go try and make a play, make sure he doesn't run for another first down. And then maybe I'll leave my buddy back here to cover it up. Well, unfortunately, your buddy doesn't trust you. And he steps out of the way because he thinks Patrick's going to beat him. And look at Travis Kelce, wide open, no one even on him. At the start of the play, there were 4 guys in the area to make a play on him. That's why they're so difficult, because you have the right plan. You got a good, okay, we're going to jam. Scott, you jam him, and I'll cover on the back end. And then you leave, and then I leave, and then it's a whole mess. So, I mean, initially good plan, but it takes a lot to stop these guys.
Okay, Kansas City 4-0. They're either going to be 1 or 2 in everyone's power rankings. Let's put some respect on the Detroit Lions, though, too.
Great.
Lions had the Kansas City Chiefs in a 4th down that if the defense makes the play there, Detroit wins the game, is still undefeated, and there was that 14-point swing in the game.
With the fumble.
Lions fumbled at the goal line,
play.
100-yard return for a touchdown, but Kansas City made the plays. Kansas City stays unblemished in 2019. Well, let's look ahead to week number 5. It all begins on NFL Network, Fox, and on Amazon Prime. It's Rams and Seahawks. A couple of 3-1 teams head-to-head. We'll see you Thursday.
Bears are 3-1, and they've got their defense to thank for that. Another outstanding performance yesterday against the Vikings. 6 sacks, 2 takeaways, held Dalvin Cook to 35 rushing yards, and they did it without Roquan Smith or Akeem Hicks. How, Willie?
This is the top team in takeaways, the top team in scoring, and the top team in sacks. So when you look at the Bears, they can hit you a lot of different ways. When you watch, 2 of their best players wasn't even on the field, Akeem Hicks and no Roquan Smith, but they have Robertson Harris. Look what he does. He does a great move, arm over, gets to the quarterback. He has an engine. He never stops. A big motor right here. Here he is again, playing at the 3 technique. Goes inside. He's getting double teamed. Keeps, never gives up on the play. Gets in there, gets a strip sack. Okay, so we said no Roquan Smith. So we got Kwiatkowski. He's in that linebacker. Does a great job one-on-one with the running back. Not even a matchup. Gets in, strips the ball, gets the ball out. These guys are so good that they got guys on the second level. When their starters are not even in, the guys that are stepping in, they do not lose a beat. Continuously getting after the quarterback, continuously controlling the trenches and making big plays. I like this Bears defense.
In Denver, he didn't throw it over a mountain, but he did throw it over Chris Harris Jr. Gardner Minshew, the second, with a highlight-ridden comeback win against the Broncos to bring his 4-game passer rating to 106.9. No rookie in the Super Bowl era has started better, not even Dan Marino. David, do you have Minshew mania?
I do, Lindsay. It's not just because of the mustache and the cool bandanas. It's because the kid understands football. And when you dig into it and you really look at what he's doing, it's fantastic. What they decided to do here, Vic Fangio, was bring 6 players. All right, and why that's important and not just 5 is because that frees up the middle of the field. The middle of the field is now void. So what you have to do as a defense is you have to play with inside leverage. So Gardner understands this right as the blitz happens. He sees a free safety in the middle. He knows that it's void. So if he can just get some time as this play develops, you can see there's a clean pocket, which is fantastic, and that lets him see it. But then as you also notice, right here, D.D. Westbrook with outside leverage. Minshew already knows where he's going with this football. And as you run it, clean pocket, the anticipation on here is fantastic. The ball placement, excellent. Let's run it back and watch the whole thing develop. You bring the 6-man pressure, you pick it up. Then you have the coverage down the field. Gardner understands it. Lays the ball on the sideline perfectly. They're down 1 point at this point. End up going down there to win the football game. But the play that I loved and what Gardner did so well is you get down in the red zone and you get a bunch look. And you're in there and you got 4 guys on this side. All right, but you got a nice little 3-man combination. You're going to use your tight end on this whip route. You're going to try and get something going over here. But you know what? As the play develops, it's covered up. You don't have anywhere to throw. So you go back to the right. You're a little late, and you start to move, and you start the Gardner mania. And look at this. I mean, he's in the pocket. He's dancing all over the place, trying to save his life. Let's run it back just because that was fantastic. And look at the dancing. This guy's all over the place. You don't really have anywhere to throw the ball. At this moment, I've been in this situation, Lindsay. You're just looking to survive. Gardner's looking to throw the football in the back of the end zone. His running back's going to uncover, and he's going to keep his eyes up and throw a touchdown pass. I mean, how do you beat that? If you're Gardner Minshew, you're playing out of your mind. You're doing a fantastic job of extending plays. I love this kid in Jacksonville. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch him play.
Looks like a point guard out there just breaking ankles. Austin Eckler, huge for the Chargers in their 20-point win over the Dolphins yesterday. 60 yards rushing, 62 receiving, had a touchdown both ways with Melvin Gordon on the bench. When he comes off it next week, LT, what happens then?
Yes, Lindsay, he will come off the bench, and that's simply because the Chargers want to create a physical presence to start the game with Melvin Gordon. Once they create that physical presence, then you will see Austin Eckler come in and have his splash plays. He will be able to run perimeter plays and get in the screen plays and do the different things that make Austin Eckler special. But then once they get the lead, you're going to see Melvin Gordon again. They're going to pound the rock, and that's how they have not been able to finish games so far throughout the season, because they haven't had Melvin Gordon. Now that they have him, and when they get the lead, trust me, they're going to pound the football with Melvin Gordon. But for your fantasy team, Austin Eckler still will get his touches. Lindsay?
Good note for a lot of people out there who own Austin Eckler. Close call for the Pats yesterday. A 16-10 win over Buffalo's third quarter touchdown ended New England's streak without a defensive touchdown at 212 snaps. But they still dominated on that side of the ball. 5 sacks, 4 interceptions, one by Devin McCourty, who got the call from Dion after the game.
Devin, my man.
What's happening, man?
You bold, baby. You know the drill. You got to go. You guys finally got tested, man. You guys finally gave up a darn touchdown. You finally got tested today.
Yeah, man, we want to make it hard. They got a good football team over there. But anytime you go out there, give up one touchdown and just keep fighting. We had some close calls, but we got it done today.
4 straight interceptions in 4 straight games. Come on, man. I'm a DB of DBs. That's flat out ignorant, what you're doing, what you're accomplishing. What do you assess the credit to, man?
The guys we got at corner, man, they're covering guys up. You know, I got a tip interception, some overthrows. The guys playing good coverage. QB's just showing me love right now, and I'm trying to eat it all up.
But you know what? You're always there in the right spot at the right time, and you consistently make plays. Unbelievable what you guys are doing defensively.
Yeah, man, it's been awesome. I think it's just across the board, all 11 guys out there balling, man. We don't have one strong unit and trying to hold up everybody else. It's just all 11 guys out there going out there playing together and just balling.
Hey, man, I'm proud of you, man. You keep on doing what you're doing. Please tell the whole family I said hi. And I'm proud of you, my brother.
Will do, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for leading the way, bro.
Well, Friday here on NFL Network, it's the original series, NFL 100 Greatest. We're currently revealing the greatest games in NFL history. And with a little bit of luck, here's one that made the list.
Who is that guy? The Steelers win tonight, Foster predicted, running back game against the banged-up Bengals defense. As for the Bengals offense, wide receiver A.J. Green went through a rehab workout during pregame. He's out again tonight because of his ankle, has a medical checkup late this week. Not expected to play on Sunday against the Cardinals either. That keeps the heat on Tyler Boyd, who told me he thinks Speedy John Ross will have chances tonight to show he can be one of the best receivers in the NFL, Scott.
Tom Pelissero in advance of Monday Night Football. Rams and Buccaneers. You see Tom's tweet right there. Speaking of A.J. Green, he is working out pregame. Medical checkup scheduled for this week. Jared Goff threw for over 500 yards in that Rams-Buccaneers game, but he needed 68 attempts to get there. Threw a few picks as well. The Bucs scored the most points in franchise history for Tampa Bay. 55-40, they beat the reigning NFC champs. Willie and Steve Smith have more on this one.
All right, Steve, you watched that Rams-Bucs game. 28 yards on the ground, 4 turnovers, a couple of sacks, bad protection. Have defenses figured out what the Rams are doing offensively?
You have to say that they have been. Defensive coordinator Todd Bowles for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers has seemed to figure out how to get Jared Goff uncomfortable. 51 drop-back passes, 28 hurries, 18 hits. Right there, that tells me that Jared Goff was extremely uncomfortable. And we saw it time in and all day Sunday. It was a long game for them. Even though they had some defensive plays to help them keep themselves in the game, offensively, they struggled tremendously.
All right, you probably could say this trend started from the Super Bowl last year with the Patriots throwing some different fronts and getting pressure and forcing Jared Goff to do other things.
Of course. You would say
I'm just saying.
The Patriots.
All right, I'm just saying. Okay, moving on. You watched the game with Kansas City and the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions did a phenomenal job of slowing down the Kansas City Chiefs. Is this the blueprint to getting the victory? Outside of the mishaps that the Detroit Lions have, is this the blueprint for beating the Kansas City Chiefs?
Definitely. You look at, they played in a dome. you expect the Kansas City Chiefs to run away with it, score 1 billion points, 500 yards total in passing, but yet they laid a goose egg when you really think about it. And so what the Lions did is remarkable. They just sat back in coverage and allowed these speedsters to run routes. You know, I always talk about PhD in route running. Right. These guys can run all day, but can they get at you like a precision or precise route running? They struggled a little bit, and they miss Hill, but they really showed us, the Lions showed us how you beat them is keep everything in front of them, don't pressure them, and allow Patrick Mahomes to make the key throws. And unfortunately, he did not this last Sunday.
All right, Steve, I want to get in your brain real quick and get some quick Steve Smith thoughts. OBJ, this offense got back on track. It seems like defenders continue to derail OBJ. Does he need to get mentally tough?
I think OBJ is fine. Now, his wrestling game is a little suspect, but I tell you, if he had one of those calculator watches, he would have been okay because he was struggling.
Is there a new king in the NFC South with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
I believe so. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the new kings. You just can't replace Drew Brees by play calling, and the New Orleans Saints are struggling, and obviously the Carolina Panthers without Cam Newton are not the explosive Carolina Panthers.
All right, let's wrap it up with your biggest disappointment throughout the first quarter of the league. It could be players, it could be coaches, teams, whatever you like.
Pittsburgh Steelers. Unfortunately, Ben Roethlisberger is hurt, and that mantra, next man up, is just a word. You got to have guys, the Jimmies and Joes and the X's and O's. Guys on paper just don't always equal up to replace a guy like AB. It's just not happening.
14 games down, 1 to go, and we've made some snap judgments about the things we've seen. Starting in the Bears game that we just witnessed there, where Chase Daniel came in and threw a touchdown on his very first drive. Took Trubisky 25 drives to do that. Snap judgment. Bears are better with Chase Daniel.
I think so at this time. You don't want to have to duct tape Mitch Trubisky's arm. He's got a left shoulder issue. Take your time, buddy. Take your time. Chase Daniel went in, did a fantastic job. He's very efficient throwing the football, got through his reads. Actually ran Matt Nagy's offense as well as I've seen it run in the last couple of years. He has a lot of history with it. So don't rush back. Let the guy heal up. Trubisky is still your quarterback of the future. He's still a young guy. Didn't play a lot in college. I mean, so he still has some time to learn this thing, but as he heals up, you got a pretty good backup in Chase. Just use him.
I like how you twisted that. Like
yeah, he did.
No,
He's twisted.
He definitely did. Right? They're better with him right now,
yeah,
but in the long run with Trubisky, so everybody's happy.
Chase is old, so.
How about the Bills, who almost took one from your Patriots, held Brady to a 46 passer rating? Snap judgment. AFC East is sending 2 teams to the playoffs this year.
All that sounds good, and you almost had me with the excitement and all that. But I would just say let's just relax a little bit on the Buffalo Bills. I think they're a really good team. Defensively, they take the ball away. They limit opportunities to score points. They did what they needed to do against a pocket passer, and they've been doing that. But the offensive side of the ball is what worries me. You can't turn the ball over and be reckless. And when you watch Josh Allen on tape, he doesn't take what the defense gives him. He always wants the big play. So he's always looking for the touchdown play, which in this case right here turns into an interception. It turned into 3 interceptions, as a matter of fact. Be calm, be poised in the pocket, like he did with the 12-play, 75-yard drive. He just took what the defense gave him. They went down and they scored. He has to be more patient. He has to understand that, and you can't turn the football over. So if this team, not just the defense, wants to go and be one of the teams representing the AFC playoffs, he has to play better.
But if he figures out how to do that, then
he figures it out. He's got a long time to figure it out.
Come on.
They'll play him again. It'll be great.
They will.
Right?
In Foxborough.
For your consideration.
The Bears in their home locker room. We didn't see Club Dub right there, though. That's interesting.
I want to go to that club. That looks like a fun defensive club right there.
It could be. You have a football in your hand.
Yeah,
Are you
ball.
Passing out a game ball to anyone?
Please
Tell the world.
How about Chris Godwin, guys, wide receiver from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? He had a day, you know. And look, 12 receptions, 172 yards. And you know the one thing about those 12 receptions? All of them went for first downs.
Oh, wow.
Every single one of those receptions went for first down. That's the most since like 2011. but he was giving it out to everybody.
Yeah.
It didn't matter where he lined
He's
up.
physical,
He
dude,
was
too.
giving it to every corner over there.
I like that.
Chris Godwin.
Ball goes to D.C., and that ball goes to
A homer alert, all right? Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs makes my brother's job easier, makes my dad not stressed out as much on the couch. So fantastic job. They actually utilized him at the end of the game. He got a lot more touches, a lot more carries. He was great in pass protection, caught the ball out of the backfield. He's exactly what they've wanted. You run power on the road, you go get first downs. First and 15, picked it up. I mean, he had a tremendous fourth quarter. He's going to be a guy that gets a ton of work the second half of the season. Fantastic job, Josh.
Let's just keep it with the running back theme. How about my man Frank Gore? 15 seasons in the league. He just came a number 4 for all-time rushing behind Emmett, Walter, and Barry Sanders with 15,000 yards. Yeah. And here's the guy before the game. He was running, warming up, and he was just smiling, had his headphones on. It doesn't matter who he's playing for. It doesn't matter what type of system he's in. He's still a tough tackler. Had over 100 yards in this game right here. This is one of the guys, man, that resembles the league on and off the field. Just a great ambassador of the NFL. And very, very deserving. And guess what? He's only 249 yards away from catching Barry.
It's possible.
So he could move to number 3 on the
longevity
list.
in today's game. That is unbelievable. Does anyone want to give a little love to Larry Fitzgerald? Larry
How about
Fitzgerald.
you? There you go.
Okay,
There you go,
Larry, I
Scott.
see you. Former Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year, walking Hall of Famer, and now the second leading receiver in NFL history. He passed Tony Gonzalez yesterday.
Way to go, brother.
Into second place. Jerry Rice, you're still fine, man. Larry would have to play about another 7 years, I would say, too. And I don't think that one's going to happen. All right. And that means the two teams on Monday Night Football are about 3 hours and 15 minutes away from finding out who's going to get their first win of the season. Will it be Andy Dalton and the 0-3 Bengals? Dalton's been throwing for over 300 yards a game so far here this season. Or will it be the 0-3 Pittsburgh Steelers, Juju Smith-Schuster, trying to develop more chemistry with backup quarterback Mason Rudolph, who is running the show for the Steelers the rest of the way through. Time now to get the Monday night matchup presented by IKEA. Here is Tom Pelissero on the sidelines.
Thanks, Scott. Mason Rudolph makes his second start at quarterback for the Steelers tonight against the Bengals, but he can't do it all on his own. James Conner's averaging under 3 yards per carry. No receiver on the roster besides Juju Smith-Schuster has more than 95 yards through 3 games. Whether it's Deontay Johnson, newly acquired tight end Nick Van Nett, as veteran guard Ramon Foster told me, we are a clean slate on offense right now. If you want to be a superstar in this league, now is your time. Who is going to be covering those Steelers receivers? The Bengals are really banged up on defense. Veteran quarterback B.W. Webb is going to play, despite what I am told is a hairline fracture in one of his forearms. The plan is to cast it up and play him in the slot, where he will see a lot of Juju in this one. Scott?
Thank you, Tom. Enjoy the game. The Pittsburgh Steelers fans hope they'll be waving the terrible towels all night long. Steelers showing them coming out of the tunnel with the let's go. They need a dub tonight.
A few other big stories to pass along, starting with a season-long suspension for Vontaze Burfict. That hit on Jack Doyle in the second quarter yesterday going to cost him games and paychecks. The league telling him in a letter that the hit was unnecessary, flagrant, and could have been avoided. Said that his extensive history of rules violations were taken into account when determining his punishment. Also out for the year for very different reason, Bradley Chubb in Denver. The Broncos pass rusher tore his ACL in the game yesterday against the Jaguars and returned to play, even forced a fumble. According to Vic Fangio, he was as surprised as anyone when he woke up this morning feeling the way he did. Also dealing with an injury, Mitchell Trubisky, who has a dislocated left shoulder. According to Ian Rappaport, there are no plans for surgery, but he is doubtful to play this week against the Raiders in London. Could come back after next week's bye. And speaking of comebacks, how about the Chiefs? Down 3 points with 2 minutes to go, took it 79 yards for the win, their 4th of the year, narrowly escaping Detroit with that undefeated status still intact in a week when 5 previously undefeated teams were not able to keep a 1 out of the loss column. Only perfect teams left: Pats, Chiefs, and Niners, who were on a bye. Niners have the Browns this week. Chiefs have the Colts. And for more on KC, here's James Palmer.
Well, the Chiefs remain unbeaten after Patrick Mahomes goes out and doesn't throw a single touchdown pass, but he wasn't sacked and he didn't turn the football over. Him and Andy Reid both admitted to us after the game that the passing game was off just a tick, but Mahomes still found other ways to be successful. Looking at the coverage, finding ways to use his legs, rush for 54 yards, including a key 4th down during that game-winning drive. When I talked to Travis Kelce and LaShawn McCoy, they both told me that drive is why Patrick Mahomes is special. Even when things weren't going well, he still found a way to win. But everything isn't great with the Chiefs. After giving up 203 yards to the Ravens 2 weeks ago, players told me that's one of the best running teams in the league. We're not concerned, but they gave up 186 yards to the Lions on the ground. Now let's go to Mike Giardi with the Patriots.
Thank you, James. Patriots may be 4-0, but the offense is far from a finished product. In fact, Tom Brady's saying today, we've got to figure out what we do well. And right now, they certainly can't run the ball. They haven't been able to do it all season long, averaging barely over 3 yards per carry behind that beat-up offensive line. The passing game has really struggled over the last 6 quarters. The second half of the Jets game and for the entirety of the Bills game, they had 7 3-and-outs yesterday. That hasn't happened for a Tom Brady-led offense since 2003, December 7th, against the Miami Dolphins. But right now, no separation on the outside with Josh Gordon and Philip Dorsett, and with a beat-up Julian Edelman, sledding been very difficult for that offense.
Well, thank you, Mike. After Monday Night Football, we'll be at the quarter pole, believe it or not, of the regular season, quarter of the way through. What have we learned thus far?
Backup quarterbacks are getting some run and actually playing pretty well. It's been impressive because you go through the whole offseason, you think you got your guy. The backup quarterback just sits in the corner and hangs out with the kickers. And then he comes in and has to win a football game like Chase Daniel last night. He's 6 plays into the game. He comes in. Gardner Minshew's been fantastic. Everyone thought Nick Foles was the guy. These guys are playing great. The best thing that I like about it is they're managing the football game well. They're not turning the ball over. A lot of times you can get in there and not really know. The only thing that I've really noticed is a little bit of shakiness with the Saints as far as just some of the pre-snap stuff, but Drew Brees is so good at that stuff, it's almost like it's hard to compare Teddy Bridgewater having played so little football with these guys. So I've just been blown away by these guys. Chase Daniel, I mean, he hasn't played a lot of football his entire career. He's just been kind of hanging out.
Probably
and he
playing golf.
Exactly. That's what we really do, just hang out, play golf. But the fact that he came in there and he's thrown away he has, and then Kyle Allen's done a tremendous job as well. Really like what I've seen out of these guys.
Are you pondering a comeback then by any chance with these?
My back feels fine. I think I'm all right. No,
tough decisions.
Have you seen the price check?
It is nice.
The paychecks?
And they're not getting hit anymore. And like some of these penalties are just fantastic. So I'm thinking about it.
All right, 4 games in, LT. What do you know?
Guys, NFC North seems to be the superior division to me. When you look at all these teams, all of them are 500 or better. And the thing about it, all of them play really good defense, and we know how defense travels. Anywhere you go, if you can pack a good defense, they get off the bus playing good defense. So what does that mean? That means that there's a possibility, I know it's early, a quarter of the way, but 3 teams might come out of this division to represent the playoffs. And to me, it's going to come down to this division and then the NFC West, possibly Seattle or St. Louis Rams. Do they have 2 teams, or do this NFC North have 3 teams in the playoffs?
I think people can make a case for obviously Green Bay and Minnesota and Chicago, the reigning champ. The Detroit Lions are not. This is not the same old Detroit Lions. It doesn't feel like.
Right,
yeah. How about you, Willie?
Well, it's a great segue. All the B-roll was defenses, and you talk about the NFC North. So for me, it's defenses are allowing some of these offenses that are getting off to a slow start to go out and win close football games, or even give them the opportunity with taking the ball away. We saw it with the Saints and the Cowboys. Not a lot of points scored, but the defense can stop the run, control the trenches. They can get the turn over the ball. And for these offenses that haven't really got going, give them a jump start. But one special guy that I've been keeping my eye on that's playing out of his mind right now, Shaquille Barrett. Shaquille Barrett has 9 sacks right now. He has more than J.J. Watt, Aaron Donald, and Khalil Mack combined. Combined. That's saying a lot. That's 9 sacks. And he's only a quarter into the season. The other thing that I look at, he's good against the run. He leads the league in tackles for loss, which means he's playing good against the run. Whenever we talk about defenders, we always just talk about sacks or interceptions, but there's other ways to affect the play, and he's doing it on every single level. So shout out to Shaquille Barrett, who was in Denver
he was a
year ago.
He was a backup player. This is not like a rookie who's just burst onto the scene.
They can use him now, can't they?
Well, absolutely could. I'll tell you what I've learned here. We all do NFL Total Access in the off season. And after the draft, we always ask, well, when is this quarterback gonna finally see the field? When is this rookie quarterback? Yeah. All the first-rounders have already played. We got Dwayne Haskins in the game yesterday. Right. I have learned the future is always now when it comes to first-round
quarterbacks. Sitting around and waiting a couple of years. It's not happening anymore.
Exactly. That is the case in New York with the Giants, as Daniel Jones has found himself 2-0 after 2 starts. Here's Kim Jones in East Rutherford.
4 games into the season, Coach Pat Shurmur described his Giants team this way on Monday. They're tough guys who are willing to work and find a way to win games. That second part, extremely important for a Giants program that won just 8 games total the last 2 seasons. Things have changed around here, of course. With Daniel Jones as the starting quarterback, the Giants are converting 54% on 3rd down. The first 2 games with Eli Manning, that number was just 22%. That's obviously an enormous difference. Shurmur also provided a Saquon Barkley update on Monday, saying his running back is chomping at the bit to come back from a high ankle sprain. It's still going to be a while, of course, and the training staff will be cautious.
Thank you, Kim. Inactives for tonight's Monday Night Football game. One name of note there on your right, that's Vance McDonald, the Steelers tight end. He's got a shoulder injury, not going to go, which means that Nick Vanette, who the Steelers went and traded for this week from Seattle, could see some time. He's only been in Pittsburgh for a few practices, but he trained with Mason Rudolph for a couple of months this offseason, so that connection could be interesting. Rudolph looking for win number 1. Curious to see how Vanette might factor into that effort. David, who do you see as a key to this game?
You look at it, without A.J. Green being out on the field, they're going to rely heavily on Joe Mixon, I think, and running the football. And he's run well, at least last year against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't necessarily think they're just going to give up 40 points, so it's going to be tough sledding, but Joe Mixon's definitely going to get his touches. He's going to be a big part of this football game tonight.
Let's take a look now at the fan. Go ahead, LT.
You got a key to the game, LT?
I do. Key to the game.
We're sitting there like, where's my keys at?
Where's Waldo? I mean, James Conner. Where has James Conner been, right? I mean, you have
right there.
There he is. Hopefully he shows up for the sake of fantasy owners who have had this guy in their lineup.
Like anyone in particular?
He hasn't done much recently.
Anyone who's played for the Chargers and the Jets?
A first-round pick on him in fantasy?
Exactly. It's time for him to break out. I mean, Mason Rudolph is a young quarterback. They really need this guy to be the bell cow in this offense. He has to get going tonight.
And you talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers, they struggle with the secondary and coverage. John Ross says he wants to be one of the better receivers. Look for him to get active, okay? And then you got Tyler Boyd, another really good receiver. Where does the Pittsburgh Steelers struggle at? The tight end position.
Sir.
The tight end position always seems to find work, make big plays against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Tyler Eifert. Yeah. You'll be open if Joe Mixon gets going, if John Ross gets going and Tyler Boyd gets going, the tight end position will be wide open. So look for the tight end.
No, that's actually a good point. Andy Dalton can really use that run game, and I really like what they've done on the offensive side of the ball. He's thrown the ball well. They just need to put it together and find a way to get a W. But Andy Dalton, I think he's feeling pretty comfortable in this offense, even though the wins haven't been there. He's been throwing for over 300 yards a game.
Competitive, though, right?
He's been competitive. It's looked pretty good. And without A.J. Green, those other guys have stepped up, and they've done a good job utilizing them. But I agree with you. Tyler Eifert could have a big night tonight, especially if that run game gets going.
John Ross with a couple of 100-yard outings to start the season and then came back down to earth last week. But this could be an interesting night for him as well.
Well, he started to translate some of that combine speed into football speed and has made some big plays so far this year. How about who's winning this game? A lot of people think this is a toss-up. The home team without the franchise quarterback, both teams looking for their first win. The fan pick presented by Applebee's shows us that
it's close.
Tight one, okay.
It's close.
Right.
Team by a little bit.
And you figure that's, factor in the Heinz Field advantage right there. So that's what they think.
What do we think? Let's do some picks. And
Willie
remind
Mack.
you.
Showing this.
Willie Mack.
Here we go. We're doing all right. We're doing all right.
Oh, okay.
All right.
You're
It's
not
early.
at all like me.
Like
See,
it's
I would
early. It's early. It's the first quarter of the
Willie,
season.
I don't
We
care
might
about
be
that.
there
I
at
would be
the end.
talking mad smack if this was me.
It's too early, Lance.
Yeah, you're right.
It's a marathon.
But you never know when it's going to turn.
Way.
That's why you have to talk trash
It's a marathon,
now.
long season.
And a tough game to
gave
pick
one away.
tonight. Now, what I want to know is, because I know you two are fierce competitors, do you already know who he's going to pick? Because that might affect who you would pick to try and shift the standings.
I was trying to gauge who he's going to pick in
Yeah.
the meeting. And he really wouldn't tell us
He wouldn't
anything.
give it away.
He wouldn't give it up.
Like
And our producer is saying he that's like
Oh, he has to go last.
You get to go last when you're in the lead.
Okay.
So you guys got to make a play here. Who's got it? Bengals, Steelers tonight.
I like Steelers. I mean, I really like Mason Rudolph. I think it's time for them to take the training wheels off and let him throw the ball down the field. Obviously, I think James Conner is going to get going. But defensively, they have struggled, defensively on the back end, really. I mean, they can get after the passer, but can they cover people? Cincinnati's going to test them throwing the football tonight. If the Steelers can cover, I think they'll be fine, and it'll be like 27-20.
They need a home win. They got to do it at home. That's what you're saying.
And predict for fantasy owners of James Conner what his stat line